Hello, everybody. I'm Marcia.
And I'm Meghan. And today on HR After Dark, we have an awesome guest with us today, Brendan Dodge from VC3. And I'm sure you're very interested to understand what we have going on over here. So first, before we get started,
Meghan.
I know you're interested. You've been eyeing this up for the past 30 minutes. Before we get started, Brendan, thank you for joining us, number one. So excited to have you. I would love to hear more about you and VC3 while you tell us about what's going on to the right of me.
Absolutely. And thank you both for having me. I know this conversation kicked off maybe 5-6 months ago at the Suburban Breakfast at Founding Farmers. Heard HR After Dark and cocktails, and my ears perked up.
They usually do, by the way.
So I know I bumped you and said I make cocktails on the side. It's a hobby passion of mine. I have a home bar downstairs that my grandpa and my brother helped build.
Oh, that's
so
great.
I'm more than happy to share and show some pictures. But yeah, it's a big time hobby of mine. I love finding recipes that I can kind of tinker with and build out to my taste. But yeah, you seemed a little bit skeptical at the breakfast until I showed you a couple pictures, and you were like, "Oh, this guy, I think he knows what he's talking about a little bit."
This is legit. Yeah. I'm like, look at these cocktails. It's not just like your typical. And so you, from when we met, you told me you learned how to be a cocktail connoisseur through COVID. Yeah. So tell us about that.
Yes. So during COVID, obviously you're kind of away at home, but during one of the times we were able to get out, we went to a wedding, and one of the after parties was at a bar in Westchester called Split Rails, which I don't think is there anymore, unfortunately. Yep. But they had an old fashioned that knocked my socks off. So I was a big old fashioned drinker, and I was really curious about what went into the types of ingredients, and they couldn't share the recipe, but they said, hey, here are the ingredients that we have. So it was a rye whiskey, it was Angostura and orange bitters, and the orange bitters I found to be the key, alongside Demerara simple syrup, which I have a homemade Demerara simple syrup right here. 2-to-1 if you're looking for the ratios, 2 cups Demerara to 1 cup water. Let it simmer for a little bit, but it makes a world of difference in a cocktail, especially whiskey-based and coffee-based, which we'll get to in a second. But knowing the ingredients, I kind of experimented with the different types of ratios, and I came down to one that I use and I love. So
all this during COVID?
Mainly during COVID, yes.
I did it wrong. I was a pro.
Yeah, what were you doing,
Rust-Oleum.
Dorian? What were you doing?
I Rust-Oleum my entire deck. Like everything got redone. My fingers were killing me.
Very exciting.
I mean, I should have done this instead. I applaud you for doing something
really
out of the ordinary. It was much. How did you get liquor though? Like it was really hard to get liquor then.
So I had a stock. So
Sorry,
actually,
it's really true.
So prior
about
to,
that.
so this is really funny. It's all coming back to me now. So my wife and I, we were a COVID casualty wedding. Our wedding was supposed to be in May 2020. So previously, the December 2019, my brother knew I love cocktails. He got me a big wedding gift of all these different types of liquors and spirits and everything like that. So I had this big stash of liquor, specialty liqueurs, base spirits to mix with. So I already had it, and the other complimentary stuff, like I had bitters on hand. I could just make with lemon juice, lime juice, things like orange juice. Actually, not so much orange juice, but like grapefruit juice, really good. So I had a lot of the core and base ingredients. It was just some more of the mixtures, like the citrus, like the sugar that I could, at the time, go buy to the grocery store and just get. So.
Yeah. So wait, before we get started too, what is your favorite cocktail?
It's an old-fashioned.
Still an old-fashioned?
Yeah,
okay.
I wish I had more of an original answer, but it's just an old-fashioned. Now, I can go a little bit more in detail. It's 2 1/4 ounces of Rittenhouse rye whiskey, very specific with the type of whiskey. I've flighted it. I've experimented it with my brother and several colleagues. Rittenhouse rye, $27 a bottle, doesn't break the bank, packs a punch. 2 dashes of Angostura bitters, which I don't have, but 2 dashes of orange bitters, either Regan's orange bitters or Fee Brothers. Angostura has one, but these two are better. And then it's a 1/2 ounce of Demerara simple syrup is right here. And then stir it up for 15 or so seconds, and then you cut an orange coin, spritz it over the top, and mwah.
Before we make a couple of cocktails,
Sure.
Let's talk about VC3 for a second.
Okay.
Tell us how you got into this line of business and what do you guys do?
Okay, so VC3, we're a managed IT and cybersecurity company. So we work with and partner with small to mid-sized businesses. I've had a lot of success working with organizations between 15, 20 employees to 80, 85. But I've also worked with some larger organizations where we're complementing an internal IT resource. Some of the common problems that we typically help out with, especially on the smaller end of the spectrum, they have growth aspirations. The provider that they started with, they may feel like they're outgrowing them. Response times could be a bit slower than usual. They need some more comprehensive cybersecurity measures and tooling and resources. And some of the clients that they're engaging with, I'm often seeing a trend even more recently. Clients are engaging their partners for cybersecurity risk assessments. So it's not only, hey, what do we have? It's partners that we're engaging with that can be a backdoor to kind of compromise your own company. Mm-hmm. So we help our clients very successfully in the cybersecurity space, and then also provide the IT support, help desk, network management, some consulting along the way.
How long have you been there?
So I've been there for a little over a year and a half. In general, I've been in the IT space, I want to say it's like 4.5 years.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Great. That's awesome. And then do you also do this for the holiday party?
So we're actually all remote in the Philly, New Jersey, and New York area marketplace. But I mean, I do cocktails for friends and family parties. Actually, for my parents' family party, they're up in New York. I made a homemade eggnog, pre-batched a homemade eggnog, which was awesome. And then I pre-batched a holiday punch. It was a whiskey-based holiday punch, which was great. And then I made an espresso martini as well.
Wow. I already booked him for his martini party.
I love this. I will be seeing you in July.
Yeah.
When it comes to cybersecurity, I mean, you see such an uptick in the communication in so many articles and blogs about how critical it is right now. Yeah. So what are a few tips that you could talk, if you're looking at an employer, these are the 3 things that you need to make sure that your teammates know about, or keep your eye on this year?
Yeah, no, that'd be great. A great question. And you mentioned the headlines piece. I want to kind of get this out because we work with small, mid-sized businesses, and depending upon the leader or executive of the organization, they may feel like they're too small for these cybersecurity, resources, tooling. There was I forget who shared the quote, but you're not too small to be hacked. You're just too small to be in the headlines. So oftentimes, these small mom and pop or even small sized businesses, they're getting impacted like crazy, but they're not going to get the attention of, like a UHS that got hurt a couple of years ago, or a Phil Abundance was another one. They kind of garner some pretty big attention, so they get more of the press, and you get a lot of these small, mid-sized businesses, they, don't get that attention. And often, sometimes they just feel like it's not needed when it's actually the quite opposite. Yep. So to go back to your question, 3 things right off the bat. We do have an in-house security team, so we see a lot of incidents come in, or new attacks that come in. But 3 big ones. I mean, first and foremost, email security. You want to talk about how hackers are getting into organizations. It's email, so you want to make sure that you have an email security tool that can filter out a lot of malicious links. But it's more than just the tool. It's about building a strong security awareness culture within your organization. So a good complementary one is a security awareness automation tool. Widely popular one is KnowBe4.
Yeah, KnowBe4.
So you take the quizzes. They have the examples and the screenshots of what to look out for.
We use that.
Those tremendous tool. If you have it to where it's automating simulating campaigns and doing the quarterly quizzes. Yep. Your organization is going to be hyper aware on what to look after and think before they click a link. So email security, those 2 fronts. Second one is MFA. I know we hate to take that extra step to go push a button or click a code or do anything like that. But from our experience, just having the wherewithal in the email security and MFA in place can mitigate about 98 to 99% of the incidents.
Wow, that's a lot.
So those are the 2 ones that we see right off the bat. And then last but not least, I mean, there's a lot of other layers, but having a reliable backup system in place. Yeah. So if you get hit with via email and you lose access to email, those emails live somewhere.
Yeah.
They can also be backed up and archived at a different using a different solution.
Right.
And then same thing with on-site and off-site servers as well. So you want to make sure that you're backing up critical information as a last resort.
Wow, interesting.
I think from an HR perspective, we talk about the importance of training. You hit on it because we've been in situations. We had an intern, 8 years ago or so. Should I even tell the story?
Well,
I already started, so
it's a good one.
It's really interesting though, because she got hacked. Someone reached out to her and told her to go buy gift cards from Staples, and so she gets there and she shows up at Staples ready to buy these gift cards. I happened to call her in that moment. I said, "What are you doing?" And she said, "I'm in Staples." And I said, "Why?" She said, "Marcia reached out to me and asked me to buy gift cards." And she's like, "I actually didn't even have enough money in my bank account. I had to have my parents help me." And so I was like, you think you're a brand new person to an organization, right out of college, your CEO asks you to go do something like for me, I'd probably be sprinting to Staples. Sure. And that's kind of where that was like kind of the first of it, where it started to kind of sink in. But now we are like hyper focused on training our teammates on like what to look out for, be so attention to detail with like the email, nomenclature and everything. So I think it's very important, the training from an HR perspective.
Yeah. And I mean, you share that story. I chuckled because I heard the exact same story with a financial service firm who had an intern and with first week on the job, gets an email, exact same situation. There's another one where an organization, they would post new hires on LinkedIn, and within a couple days of that new post going up, boom.
That's why we don't do that anymore. We're getting targeted every single time we put, "Hey, congratulations, new person." A week later, they're getting emails or texts from me that wasn't me, and I said, "We got to shut that down."
Yeah, we don't even do it anymore.
They know exactly what they're doing.
Thanks.
And it's unfortunate because you want to build that employee, that company culture, and it kind of stinks out that you have to take away something like that because it's used as a mechanism to get into an organization.
Yeah, I know. It's like if you're that busy, people. I mean, I have other jobs for you to do, let alone hacking, right? And it's just like, it's so annoyed at that.
They'd be great sourcers.
They would be great
They'd
sources.
be great recruiters, thinking about how deep they're getting in there.
You can find me
Calling
anybody.
all hackers.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. But when it comes to company culture, what's important to you as an employee?
So as an employee, VC3 has been the best company in terms of culture that I've been a part of. And I actually think a large portion of that comes down to we operate on EOS. This isn't an EOS.
Did we ever talk about that?
No. This isn't an EOS
I
plug
didn't
by
know
any
about
means.
that. We love EOS.
We always plug EOS, don't worry.
It is... It's been a breath of fresh air. The transparency from leadership, the direction where we want to take the company, the just not putting off to the side like some areas of inefficiencies or weaknesses, but like identifying those areas and wanting to make them strengths. It's just like, hey, like we understand this is an area in our business that we want to make better. So cool. Like we're gonna devote this on our next rock to make this better. So I have my own rocks, I have my own scorecards, and we just did a Q1 a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, it's just having rocks that make sense for your role that you're striving to achieve within that quarter. And then I think it's a great time, after a quarter or 6 months, I know for me personally, I review. It's a great source to or time to go back and review, like, how did I do? How did I meet new people? Was it networking, provisors, cold outreach, whatever it may be? So it's a really nice North Star to kind of see if I'm on track to hit my own goals.
Let me ask you, do they ever share the VTO, the Vision Traction Organizer? Yeah,
so we have a dashboard. I think it's called, it's Bloom.
It's competitive in ID data.
So it's a hub, so I can see the VTOs. I can kind of see how we're tracking in terms of all of our goals, even like leadership, and then the entire org chart. So it's a breath of fresh air to really see that the entire company working towards one or a couple of very specific goals.
Just so nice. How many employees are there?
We are currently around 800 employees.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
Good size.
We service, I think, last time I heard, about 35 states across the country, and then we also support Canada.
I didn't know it was that big.
Yeah, we're a decent sized organization.
It's nice to see that you're part of EOS too, which
So
is
cool.
awesome.
So fun. I have a compliment for you, and then we're going to get started. Someone recently said you were not there in the room when this compliment was given, but they said you are the best connector that they've ever known. And, I say that about Marcia. Marcia kind of taught me the ropes on, how to be a true connector in the community. And it was like someone said that, just brought up your name and brought that to the entire group's attention. So I thought I would share that.
Well, it's kind of fascinating I had lunch with Martha Holler, a colleague of the three of ours, but I shared kind of like my upbringing and childhood. Like I lived 8 years overseas, 4 years in Thailand, 4 years in New Zealand. Like I had to assimilate and adapt to different cultures and personalities, or else I didn't make any friends. So when it came down to networking and building relationships, I had to do that at a very young age.
Yeah.
So it always became second nature to me to build relationships within my network.
Sure.
But I mean, it may or may not shock you, but I've only been networking for the past 7 months. Provisors helps out a ton, and it's interesting to see like these different pockets of like industries that have their own different types of synergies.
Oh yeah.
So like let's take law firms for example. Right. Family law, elder law, estate planning, family mediators. Like there are these own little pockets of referrals. So when I'm out and about and I hear that you're within an organization or you specialize in HR, like what type of HR do you do? Oh, well, we help companies build out policies, procedures. Yeah. Do you guys do benefits? No. All right, cool. I'm not saying that you do or don't. But hey, would a benefits person make sense because they operate in your ecosystem? Right.
Yeah.
So just finding ways both for strategic introductions, but also potential clients.
Yeah.
But it's like if you're thinking that way, that's the best way to operate. It's like your first thought is how can I get somebody to somebody else?
Yeah.
And that's what we do at the O'Connor Group.
So I'm like,
easy.
It's not easy, and maybe it's because I'm naturally curious, but when I meet someone, I want to, especially in business, try to latch onto something that can be memorable. Mm-hmm. So if I'm speaking, I get connected with someone, hey, what's an ideal client for you? And they're kind of vague. Hell, we could work with anyone who needs this. Okay, what are some top 2 or 3 industries that you really like to work with? What are 2 or 3 big problems or key triggers I can key in on? And if they share a client example or a success story and I could latch onto that, now you become memorable in my head. So for me, if I could latch onto something emotional or personal to you, you become memorable to me in a capacity for a future conversation. And then I try to think outside of the box of like, oh, well, I know, such and such, they do this. I could see an overlap there. So I always trying to find connections, and I'm I just finished reading Malcolm Gladwell's The Tipping Point.
Oh, great book.
And I finished The Revenge of the Tipping Point, which was, I thought, great. The audiobook was awesome.
Yeah, the audiobook's awesome.
The production of that
Audible's
was
the only way.
I aligned myself with the connector, the Paul Revere type of person. So it was great. Yeah.
Well, the one word you just mentioned, curiosity, is one of our 4 core values here at the O'Connor Group. And now I'm really curious about all these wonderful cocktails in front of you and what we're going to learn today. And I'm just getting thirsty looking at it. So very curious here.
All right. So
good.
And doing a little bit of a pre-planning, understanding what are some favorite cocktails for HR After Dark. Meghan shared espresso martinis were a big hit, big number 1. So I'm going to make 2 of them. One is, a typical espresso martini that you may find at a bar, but another one was trending on Instagram, I believe it was last year or 2 years ago. My sister loves espresso martinis. So she kicked me this one, and it is a Parmesan cheese espresso martini. So I have a fresh,
favorite things.
fresh Parmesan cheese right here. Right. It goes right on top. It's the garnish of the drink, and you may think cheese and a coffee drink.
You're talking to a cheese freak here.
You taste the salt of the cheese, and then you get the creaminess of the dairy and the cheese, and it's awesome. So,
how many months left, Meg?
Yeah, just for our viewers, I am expecting a baby, so I will not be participating in this today. But it's killing me. So,
I have 2 hands.
I just will have to restart in June and I'll have to share.
We'll have to bring
share
back.
The whole team who's back there. They're like looking in the door, like what's going on in there? We have to make some extras.
We'll make some extras. Okay. So a couple different ways that I like to make espresso martini. First and foremost, if you're using Kahlua for your coffee liqueur, throw it away. It's overly sugary. It's syrupy. It's not like fresh.
Right.
So my go-tos are a Tia Maria coffee liqueur. It's got some vanilla notes in there. That's really great. And then I do have.
I'll just smell it.
Yeah,
Mr. Black
I
is
do
good.
have. Oh, you've had Mr. Black before? Very clean, not that sugary. I can control the sweetness of the cocktail with this. So I love using Tia Maria and Mr. Black as my
really
go-to
good.
coffee liqueurs.
Okay, good to know. We got to throw that Colo out.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes we use that.
So it's really hard to find Mr. Black at a state store, but Tia Maria you could find at a state store any problem.
Yeah, that's hard to find at a state store.
Yeah, so like Jersey, or my parents will buy that for me up in New York.
Oh, in Jersey. Yeah.
Yeah,
so good.
like Joe Canals.
That was good.
Oh, yeah, I love
Joe
All the way to the
Canals is
shore.
great.
That's an idea.
Yeah. So on the way to Sea Island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Now to control the sweetness in the espresso martini, I know I shared at the top of the hour, Demerara simple syrup, 2-to-1 Demerara sugar. You can find a bag for like $5 on Amazon to 1 cup water. It adds a little bit of complexity to the drink, a little thickness, and it's just a really nice sweetener. So
Nice.
I make a homemade one of these.
Wow.
And then I use a little chocolate bitters. This one is Woodford Reserve chocolate bitters. I like these over the Angostura ones. These are a great addition.
Can you buy those at like Williams-Sonoma?
I just go on Amazon.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah.
Because I just bought those Woodford Reserve, a slew of them for Christmas at Williams-Sonoma for my dad.
Great buy. That's actually how I got turned on to these. I got the.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the spice cherry.
Yep.
Great pack.
Okay.
This chocolate one's great.
Cool.
And then you can't go wrong with Tito's as a vodka.
Right.
If you want to get fancy, Grey Goose or Kettle One. But I love Tito's.
like
so
Tito's,
I think
too.
Tito's is great. So when you are making a cocktail, you want to start off with the least expensive ingredient and then work towards the base spirit or the more expensive ones.
Oh.
The reason being
of the day.
is if you start with a vodka and you spill the cocktail, you then lose the most expensive part of your drink.
Oh.
So
Efficiency. I like it.
so start off with. So I like to do the sugar first. And then being last ingredient here, it's not really the last, but core component is espresso martini. Use a cold brew concentrate. Unfortunately, the bartender forgot to bring espresso, so we're using a dark roast strong.
Oh, okay.
So we're hoping it's a good sub here. Sorry, Marcia.
It's going to be a great sub.
It's gonna be sweet.
So
You
let's
just
do.
drink it like that.
Jeez.
What's
I
your
thought she just
favorite?
brought
What's
you
your favorite?
coffee.
Is espresso martini your favorite cocktail currently at the moment?
I do. I also like just a martini straight up.
Yeah, and you like lemon drops as well.
Are you a
Yeah.
dirty, or are you just like a
No. Shaken.
Gin or vodka?
Vodka.
Vodka. Okay. What's your go-to vodka?
Stoli.
Stoli's a good one. Stoli's. Now, so do you garnish with a lemon twist over the top? Okay. Another question: when you add the dry vermouth, do you swish it around, or do you actually add it into the cocktail
I actually swish it around.
and then toss it out?
Yes.
Okay. Good to know.
There you go.
Good to know.
I want to like a dirty martini so bad.
I just
think it
can't.
is so cool.
Yeah, but I
Like
can't
you
do
look
it.
so
I've
cool
tried
holding it. It's just like looks.
I've tried it.
I can't do it.
You know who loves them? Tracy.
Yeah, she does.
She
does
loves
love them.
those.
Yeah,
She
Kat
just-
loves them too.
too.
Yeah.
So there's one going around, Dirty Martini. It's called the Olive Garden Martini, where you use the Olive Garden dressing as a core component to it.
Wow.
Yeah, it's
That's a good dressing,
Kind of,
too.
it's dirty.
It's
Looks like a beach
Yeah.
on it, actually. But
Wow.
so for the listeners and people, for the listeners, I did a half ounce of Demerara syrup. I did a full ounce of the espresso. I do 2 squirts or 2 dashes of the chocolate bitters, and then we're gonna go Mr. Black. So a easy rule of thumb for espresso martini, and a recipe I like to follow, is just equal parts coffee liqueur, espresso, and vodka. Can't really go wrong with that. And then, come on. I'm going to do a little extra, though, because it's coffee. Okay? Okay, let's get the Tito's here.
You know, it's so interesting because I find that obviously this is the HR After Dark, so we have a few cocktails after dark sometimes. But the idea behind it, I think, it's interesting. I've seen a lot more people do dry January
Oh yeah.
than ever before. And now I'm hearing it's called, what was damp January, which is when I only drink on the weekends, not during the week. And I was like, I don't usually drink during the week at all. So I never heard of it as a damp January, but I see more and more people get more mocktails than ever before, which I think is great. You know what I mean? I think people are still enjoying themselves out there. You don't necessarily need to be too many cocktails out there, but you know, I think it's good in moderation. So it's really nice to see that.
Yeah.
I think it helps.
I did dry January last year. Look at this.
Yeah, wow. You got some practice going
Very
on.
fancy.
Yeah, very fancy.
Picture me making that.
I'm trying to get the foam. If you like a lot of foam, it's best to use fresh coffee, cold brew, or espresso. If you like a lot of foam, it's going to work out. Do a dry shake. So a dry shake doesn't incorporate ice. And then I add on your strainer, the spiral comes off. So you could dump the spiral in there, dry shake it. You're not diluting it, but you're getting that foam and you're kind of mixing it up.
Huh. I would never
That's another line of our business.
I know.
And then,
not for us.
See, I got a little, extra
HR
foam there.
cocktails.
How about that?
Let's take.
Oh, that's where that thing goes.
Oh my gosh. Do you know that I have one of those?
Did you know it came off like that?
No. Never used it in my entire life. Wow, that's
You know,
what
I
it's
have a
for.
spoon like this too, but it's for like milkshakes.
No,
and
you know,
goes-
it's funny. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not for milkshakes.
I know, but that's what I use it for at home, for milkshakes. It's nice, the long cup, and you can get to the bottom with your
How
ice
often are you
cream.
making milkshakes?
What?
How often are you making milkshakes?
I don't make them enough.
Yeah, I can't.
Yeah, I don't. It's been a while,
I can't
actually.
see you like sitting at home making a milkshake.
No, it's true.
Milkshakes are great though.
But they are great.
Like a root beer float.
Yes. Oh, they're the best. This is great.
All right, I'm
I don't
just.
think this one's going to foam up as much.
No, it's got a little bit of foam there. It's looking good.
Okay. All right, there's one. And now for the...
Oh, that's right, the cheese. It's like having a pizza. All right.
I love cheese. I
know.
love like all just dairy products.
I think I might have a problem with cheese.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
My inflammation.
Really? I mean, listen. When I
have a
when
feeling.
I gave up dairy for like, a year almost. I've never felt butter in my whole life.
Yeah.
So
But I just love it.
That's the Parmesan cheese. I'm really curious to see how the dark roast...
You know, I'm going for it, girl. Oh my. It's horrible. I can't look at you.
I am like drooling.
And you're drooling and saying it tastes good.
You know what's funny? I was getting jealous of you guys, so I brought in some treats from our friends
try
at
some?
4th Street Cookie Company.
I don't know you're here.
So they are absolutely incredible. And Marcia brought fresh cookies from there last week.
Oh, man,
And we had a
okay.
couple leftover pretzels. So I got jealous and I was like, I'll bring
really
in
good.
sweets.
Wait a minute. Pass the cookies.
I don't know about that.
Any left?
Yeah, there's I don't know how there's left. I
I don't know how they're really good. So 4th Street Cookie is a client of ours. And Tina, who runs it, is just an amazing female entrepreneur as well. And she makes these cookies. They do everything with nothing artificial. I don't know if people understand that. There's no artificial. They use real butter. They use real eggs. They use real sugar. There's nothing artificial. So obviously shelf life doesn't last too long. They have to get them out. But the amount of business they do is phenomenal. Their cookies are so good. I mean, look at this, amazing.
Wait, so talk to us about the status of the cheese on top. Like, what do you taste like?
Oh my gosh, it's you could taste the salt out of it
salty
too, coming
and
right through.
yeah.
It's delicious. Mm-hmm.
And if there's a lot on there, you get enough, you get the
There's a
dairiness
smell.
of the cheese,
Yeah.
and it gives the drink a little bit more
does.
creaminess.
It does, and it also just has a nice little. It's like sort of melts in it when you taste it with the chocolate, or the coffee. But it's horrible. Don't worry. Give it. Time is ticking. It's going so fast.
I know. And no hangovers, So,
It's so fun.
all right. So, what are you doing now? Here.
So since we used the Mr. Black on the first one, I'm going to do a little riff. I added a little Frangelico to this one, but I also used the Tia Maria. So it gives a little bit of a hazelnut punch, and I think it complements pretty well with the vanilla.
Cool.
Still added the chocolate bitters. I still added the Demerara simple syrup, and now I just got to add the vodka here. We should be good to go. Nice little shake. We'll be fine.
So cookie. Let me experiment here. Brings it all together.
And Tina makes these too, the pretzels?
You know what's funny? I met Tina at a conference.
Oh, did you? She's the best.
I met Tina at a conference a while ago. I think about a year ago, and I looked at the letter and I was like, I have her coin. I get a free cookie if you go to her.
Oh, that's so awesome.
So I have that. So I've been meaning to stop by.
She's doing great.
Very good.
No, no, good. She's expanding her office. So she's moving into a much larger space. I'm so excited for it. And she opens up beginning of March with it. Yeah, I'm excited for her.
Yum.
Hard to do that. In manufacturing, it's very hard to do. But her staff is amazing. They're wonderful. They're kind. Their cookies are so delicious.
Yeah, because you brought them home warm. You brought them back here warm.
They went.
Phenomenal.
Yeah. I never saw you guys go through them so fast.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do a lot of that stuff around here.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I think people think it's always fun and games. You know, I think with HR, it's always fun and games. But I think HR it's just so exhausting sometimes because you have to stay on top of everything out there going on with compliance, with legal, every state, every city, you know, and the employee issues are becoming bigger of an issue than ever before because people just aren't as happy as they used to be, which is really, really sad. And some of these places make work so difficult. It doesn't have to be difficult.
Yeah.
You know, just get along, people. Get along.
I also think that now's the time that companies need to be taking care of their HR people.
Oh, yeah.
You know, everyone's busy and everybody's, wow, look at that, round two.
Isn't that beautiful? Look at that.
Beautiful.
Oh, wow. Totally different taste than that. Totally different taste. I mean, good.
Which one do you like better?
I actually like this one better.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Parmesan cheese.
I think when you said Parmesan cheese to me, I was like, what? But I totally get where how the saltiness probably just sets them.
Brings it through.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing about like HR and businesses. This is what we do. We mix this, we mix this, we mix this. We get to do this and all. But the idea is that the work still gets done. We try to keep everybody happy. And it's hard to do that. And I feel like HR has put so much on their shoulders all the time. And I just hope they know they're not alone and that we're trying to be here for them as much as possible. But I can't thank you enough for coming today and teaching us about the cocktails. And this is wonderful. I already hired you for another event.
Yeah, look at this little side hustle, side job happening.
But I'm so happy that you're happy doing what you're doing. So,
yeah,
thank you.
I absolutely love it. No, it's great. I love making the cocktails, but I love what I do. And it kind of funny. I'm on an HR podcast because like we do see a lot of workplace things on the IT side of it, depending upon you know the client. You know, I mean, a couple of things on like for law firms or accounting firms, I see partners in handling IT when they may not be handling IT.
Oh, yeah.
So kind of working through that conversation can be fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, just IT should not be an afterthought in this day and age that we're
totally
in.
agree.
And the way that you're doing things was the way that you're doing things 10 years ago.
Right.
You're kind of antiquated on that.
You
and you look at additional resources, whether that's with an IT provider, whether that's someone a bit more dedicated internally to really evaluate your systems, because we're seeing a lot of incidents out there and clients being more aware of who they do business with and requiring certain security protocols, procedures, and tools to be in place. So, it was a pleasure being on here and kind of showcasing my cocktails a little bit.
Oh, I thought it was great.
It's
so great.
And I think this is like such a fun, I will say, I'm making a bold statement here. I think both of our industries are, can get eye rolls from people. Let me explain. I think HR, people think boring. I don't need that. Afterthought, IT, I don't feel like dealing with it. I think both of our industries resonate with people in that way, sometimes negatively. And so this is a very fun twist on, a topic that sometimes...
No pun intended.
Like what?
No pun intended with the twist.
I wish I thought of that myself. I think it's really critical that companies like have that as one of the first things they think about as they're growing rather than an afterthought. So I think we're kind of all on the same page with how it feels in the market. And but this was so fun. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me. This was a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the cocktails, Marcia.
I'm loving it.
And I look forward to this summer. It'll be a lot of fun.
Do you need me to drive you home tonight?
I have an interview today, so I can't even drink them. Hello. So, but I appreciate that. Thank you so much. But you're right. I mean, I think you're right what you said, though, because IT, I do think a lot of people should be outsourcing IT to get started on the whole idea behind it, because you're going to have to do it whether you like it or not. It's like HR. Just get started.
Yeah.
You don't always have to have a full-time person, but maybe having like an outsourced function like we offer, just to get started, understand what you need, what you don't need. And then you're going to have to, like I said, it's just like making cocktails. You need a little bit of this, a little bit of this. You're going to figure out what makes the perfect cocktail, just like the perfect work environment. It takes a little time to figure that out.
And I can imagine you've probably seen very similar situations that I've seen, but building a strong foundation, but especially if you're a growing company, you grow too fast and you're kind of building on a cracked foundation. You really need to start with a very strong foundation, like a foundational HR policies, processes, documentation, work culture.
Yes.
Same with IT. If you grow too fast, you could be building on a cracked foundation and you may not be able to scale in an efficient way. So
that's a really good way to put it.
You may be looking at hiring core roles for some client-related projects you're working on, but there's some back-end roles like HR, like IT that play a critical part to a company's success.
Yep.
Oh,
totally
it's
agree.
amazing important. Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you again.
And tell our listeners how they can reach out to you.
Oh, yeah.
You can reach out to me. You can go right on our website, vc3.com. Feel free to go over into the contact us portion of it. Feel free to request Brendan Dodge if you want to speak with me. That'd be great. You can also follow me on LinkedIn, Brendan Dodge. I'm on LinkedIn. I think those are the two big ways to get a hold of me.
Awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And everybody out there, again, this is HR After Dark. I'm Marcia.
And I'm Megan. We'll catch you next time.